In France, everything that is small is great. We take a small coffee in our small car, and we are small. And in the States, wow, everything is big and it's huge. You have such diversity, but in France you have the same diversity, but it's more compact.
Moving on to the kind of cross-border stuff, and obviously that's why we're going to start working together as well. Is there anything in terms of when you're building your website, adding features? People are doing this at a distance. How have you responded to that? There's a new feature on your website.
Yeah, exactly. So I stay an engineer, so I'm always thinking of how can I automate things and how can I make my website more useful to our visitors. And we launched a new feature. We work on it for nearly 2 years, and we launched a feature that is here to help people find the region they want to settle in. And so the basic idea is that we realized that our visitors were not like on the main portal. If you're an American and going on Zillow or a British going to Rightmove, the first thing you are being asked is, what is the postal code? Or what is the city name where you want to settle? Well, if you want to buy an American that want to buy in France, God, I don't know. Tell me. And so that's what we are doing with this new feature. If you go on the website, you click on Guide Me, and we will ask you, oh, Richard, do you like to be close to the sea? Oh, okay. What is a good duration for you to go to the sea? Or do you prefer to stay at a place that is calm? And the beauty of what our tech team has developed is that you can combine all those criteria. And you can combine them, but it's criteria in terms of traveling time. So you can say, oh, I like to play golf. So I want my house to be at 15 minutes of drive of a golf club. And at the same time, I want to be in a place that is quiet. One of the frequent requests that we have many people saying, oh, I want to retire in France, and therefore I want some place very calm with no one around, but I want to be less than half an hour from a hospital if there is something. So we see that for people that want to retire, but we also see that for young people that want to settle in, because
a school or a job.
Yes, my children, if there is anything, I want to be in an hospital quite rapidly. So we have those kind of usage, and then we have I think around 20 features. So if you like climbing, if you like, even in terms of religion, you can say, oh, I want to be near a church, or I want to be near whatever your religion is. You're just entering, and we will provide you with the properties that match all your criteria.
It's really cool.
Where do you want to live apart from the church?
Yeah, well, that's
it's a nice place.
But it's true. Even I always say to people, in my previous life when I had a real job, I used to work for an American company, and I never, because I grew up in the southwest of France, and probably it was the same for you. I just stayed in the southwest of France when I was young. It's kind of like I guess people in California. They don't really. You've got the mountains, you've got the sea. I had no need to go anywhere else in France, and it's only when I worked for an American company that I actually travelled around France and discovered areas that I'd never been to. Right, and it is, of course, compared to America, such a small place, but it is such a different cultural place from one part of France to the other. The architecture. Yeah. The resource, of the areas. But I'd also, my experience living in what is a remote part of France is that the actual infrastructure is really good. Like the hospitals, the schools, etc. Even in the countryside, it is pretty good. And I think that's why France is a relocation destination rather than just a holiday destination.
Yeah, and I was with my family for 3 weeks on holidays in the States last summer, and what strikes me most is in France, everything that is small is great. We take a small coffee in our small car, and we are small. And in the States, wow, everything is big and it's huge. You have such diversity, but in France you have the same diversity, but it's more compact.
Yeah.
So 2 hours of French train to TGV, you can be almost anywhere quite rapidly.
And it is wonderful. Géraud, who's our chartered accountant, came up from Aix-en-Provence for 3 hours to Paris. Yeah. I took the fast train from London, 2.5 hours. France is really well connected. I think it's other feature that often is overlooked is that some of my US viewers are kind of, when they move into France, they think, I need to learn the language, which of course is true. The more that you do, you're going to integrate. But France is really well connected with the rest of Europe. So, if you're American, you're missing speaking English, you can get to London in 2 hours from Paris, right? It's so convenient. And I think people forget that, there's always a way of going back to an English-speaking world.
Yeah, and even in France, the Aquitaine has been connected to the British kingdom for centuries before.
Yeah.
So there still has been for a very long time. There is a tradition of British or English-speaking communities there. It's not decades, it's centuries of traditions, and people are used to have English people in those areas. If you go in Sarlat in summer, I would say it's as if you were going in the south of Portugal. In the south of Portugal, you hear a lot of French people speaking during the holidays. Yep. Well, if you go to the Gers or to Sarlat during the holidays, you will hear a lot of English speakers and American speakers.
Yeah. And I think, the French are still very welcome. In fact, I can say this because I'm British, or be precise, I'm Scottish, but born in the Gers, right? But it is something that people worry about, this integration side of things, this emotional side of the move. And I think in general, people are still extremely welcoming, especially to Americans. I would argue probably more so to Americans than they are to people from the UK, but that's maybe the way that I see it as somebody coming from the United Kingdom originally. But in general, with all of this technology that you're going to be providing with these new services, one question I guess that I would have that comes across an awful lot from our viewers is, in terms of selecting a region, what would you do in terms of, once you've used your tool to find the best region matcher, you're then going to have a list of properties that are going to be adapted to that region area, but you don't know exactly where they are. You're then going to get in touch with the local real estate agent, right? The Green Acres doesn't facilitate that.
On Green Acres, the website, you will have on a map.
You've got your map.
All the listing of properties. You can go on the details of.
And you contact the agent.
And you contact the agent, but you know precisely where the house is. Where the house is. So wow. It's being displayed on the map, and
that's totally free and on your website.
Yes, exactly. So cool. The idea is that you have the full MLS being displayed.
Yep.
On the Green Acres map, and when you are entering your filters and your condition and saying, I want to be close to a golf course, okay, I want to be not far from the sea, and I want to be also at the same time not far from the mountains. So here it will draw you something near Biarritz, because in France you can be close to the sea and close to the mountain and do some surfing if you want, but that's Biarritz. And it will display the houses on the map in that region for you.
So thanks again for watching, and if you've enjoyed this short clip, you can find the full podcast episode on our channel.